So welcome. Really appreciate y'all coming tonight. I think it's a nice end of the, almost end of the week. I have this coworker who's like, happy Friday Eve. Right, so we come every Thursday, and a lot of times we kind of angle our week toward getting toward the weekend. And so it's almost like a little push over the hump, get a good sit in, let all the just stress of the week kind of filter down and away, and you can go into Friday renewed. So I was thinking about what to talk about tonight, and the koan that I want to talk about comes from a book called The Blue Cliff Record, which is a book of Chinese Zen stories and commentaries. And the koan in it is related to a concept called samadhi, or concentration. And so before we dive in, I wanted to just kind of define what's samadhi, what is that even all about? So samadhi means totally absorbed, right? Or totally concentrated on one single pointed thing. And so if you go through the Zen literature, there's all this talk about all different sort of flavors of samadhi, but it's almost not important. What's important is recognizing that we as human beings have the ability to become totally absorbed in what we're doing, and that is of benefit. That when we're sort of doing whatever we're doing, and we're doing it in a distracted way, then we're not at one with what's happening, and we're not in the present moment, right? We're off somewhere else. And that's okay. I mean, it's just like in meditation, we sit in meditation, our mind wanders, we come back. And so, but sometimes when we sit in meditation, we stay. Right? We don't wander, we become absorbed. And this also, athletes call this being in the zone. Sometimes when we're playing a musical instrument, or even just if we're having a profound emotion, right? And we're just completely overtaken by that emotion, and that emotion is just flowing. Right? We can be completely at one with what is happening in our life. And so, case 50, of the Blue Cliff Record, a monk asks Uman, what is concentration on every atom? Another translation of this says, what is every particle samadhi, right? So imagine every atom, every particle. What is concentration on every atom? And Uman says, food in the bowl, water in the pail. So, got this profound question, right? What is it to be at one with, to be absorbed in every atom? And Uman's basically food and water. So, we can look at that there's sort of the generic Zen way that we can look at that, which is just be in the moment and, chop wood, carry water, do your thing, right? Just drive to work. When I was early in my practice, I can remember I heard somewhere streetlights are Buddhas, because they have three, Buddhas sometimes drawn with three circles, and streetlights 3 circles. So at the light, and I'm, doing zazen at the light, because streetlights are Buddhas. Of course, then you forget to drive forward and you get honked at, and then you're cussing at someone, and maybe streetlights aren't Buddhas anymore. But that's that message. That's a common, in both Zen teaching and in pop culture, that's a very common understanding of sort of when he says food and water, or another koan says chop wood and carry water. We could say vacuum and clean the kitchen, right? We could say do the laundry. Any of the sort of cyclical work activities, life-sustaining activities that we do, the ordinary things that we do, it is useful for our practice to allow ourselves to become absorbed in those and not resist them, right? Don't fold laundry with resentment. You're going to have laundry, so you might as well be present and use it as a practice rather than sitting there thinking, oh, I don't want to do this again, right? Now you're separate from it. But I think Uman might be aiming at something else too. I think there's possibly a more subtle way of thinking about this that's really important, right? Which is when we flip it, right? When every atom contains within it the potential for samadhi, right? So forgetting about, sort of pail of water, food in the bowl, forgetting about just doing what's there, right? We can go a little deeper and recognize what is there in all of the things that we're doing is that underlying lack of separation, that underlying oneness, that underlying absorption, whether we see it or not. Right? So, when we have food in the bowl, we have everything that we need. Right? When we have food and water, we have everything that we need. So what's he saying? What is every atom samadhi? What is every atom oneness? It's the awareness that we already have everything that we need. And that's a bigger deal. And the reason that's a bigger deal is because, some of the, if we think about everything being made of atoms, so then we're talking about everything. Well, some of everything that comes into our awareness is unpleasant, right? Some of everything that comes into our awareness is hard. Some of everything that comes into our awareness is repetitively hard. And I'll speak for myself. My tendency when that happens is to resist it. Right? I don't like it when I have negative interactions. I don't like it when I have to do tasks I don't enjoy. I don't like it when, people use a communication style with me that I don't prefer. And so the tendency is to then try to adjust reality to meet what I prefer. Right? I'll just talk you into talking to me the way I want you to talk to me. Or I will, I just won't open that stack of mail, right? I just won't deal with that person who I find irritating and don't want to have a difficult conversation with. But the other thing we can do is, because every atom is a gateway into ourselves and into samadhi, because every situation is a gateway within, when that situation arises, when we find ourselves moving in an averse to what is, that is the moment to really go toward that, right? That is the food of our practice. That is the food and water of our practice, is something comes up and we embrace it even when it sucks. And then we sit there in samadhi with it like a koan, like we hold it, we allow it to be. And when we do that, I don't know if it's that our relationship to it transforms, or that it transforms, or that we transforms, but there's transformation, right? Because at the point at which there's no separation, who's transforming? I don't know. But what I do know is that every single thing I don't like, if I give it a hug, in terms of the meditation, right? Like it changes, and some new perspective happens, and I'm like, oh, that's how I should work with this. And so there's an intimacy to this idea of wisdom in every atom, right? Of absorption in every atom, right? That's not metaphysical, it's not mystical, right? Because I think part of what the monk is trying to go for is the sort of generic, like, everything is one, and I am one with the universe, and all is well. And I'm not necessarily saying any of that is wrong, but it's not what it's like to walk around in our daily lives. And so when Uman calls us back to food in the bowl, water in the pail, dishes in the sink, laundry in the basket, he's calling us back to work with whatever drops into our life and be right there with it. And when we feel that aversion, which is natural when things don't go our way, when we feel that sense that like everything's falling apart, we feel that sense that like we're trying to climb up the hill and the sandy rocks are disappearing under our hands, right? That's the moment to stop and to be right there. I'm climbing the hill and I'm losing purchase, and I feel like I'm just sliding down the hill, and I feel like I'm not going to make it. And then we just be right there, and then it shifts. I saw a hilarious Buddhist t-shirt that said "Shift Happens." I don't know if you guys remember those old "Shit Happens" t-shirts that they used to sell at the beach when I was a kid. I used to think that was hilarious when I was like 10, dirty word, right? But shift happens. That's the miracle of the Buddha's enlightenment, is the recognition that it's all around us, right? I and all beings are already enlightened. It's right here. And whatever ingredients come up into our field of awareness, those are the ingredients we're going to cook with. And we get to keep all of our wisdom and decisions and strategies and ideas about what to do as a bonus gift. It doesn't mean that you can't make good decisions. But, we don't get ourselves into trouble. People don't fall into trouble because of their good strategies. People fall into trouble because of the things they want to avoid and the ways we use to avoid them, right? I won't deal with that. I'll just drink. I won't deal with that. I'll just play video games. I won't deal with that. I'll just meditate. Because you can do that too, right? Call that the ice cave. I'm so spiritual, I'm just going to meditate and be at peace and everything will be wonderful. I don't want to have any problems. And of course that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And yet, if we instead meditate and we have problems, right, then we see what to do next. So, every atom that comes in, right, every atom that you're aware of, and the ones you're not aware of, each one has within it absorption, samadhi, oneness. It's always available. All we have to do is just allow it. And that's why we sit, is to create the conditions in which that allowing is possible. By just coming back. Knock down 3 times, get up 4 times. Knock down 5 times, get up 6 times. You do that and something changes. Something changes for us, something changes for those around us. And it's profound. And it's worth it. I think that's probably